If you've seen anything pertaining to Blockade Battlefront, it's a safe bet that it was the ending sequence. We'll get into it a little bit later, but it's iconic, and it also happens to be fucking amazing. Just like the rest of the show. Welcome to the Renewed Horizon. So there's this anime that's set in a city where all sorts of ridiculous magical things happening, and it's kind of shit. But the people who live there just kind of get used to it. Plus, it has this great cast of characters where you kind of end up rooting for all of them because they're all so amazing in different ways. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And that anime is called Dorohedoro. Jokes aside, the similarities are definitely there between these two shows, but they go very different directions in terms of plot and structure. That being said, everyone I've ever talked to that loves one show also ends up loving the other. So if you're a fan of Dorohedoro, then strap in. I've got a show for you. If you're here because you already like Blockade Battlefront, I implore you give Dorohedoro a try. And if you're both, let's be friends. If you're neither, that's okay too. Let me explain. So there's this guy named Leo who's trying to cure his sister's inability to see, which she gained by sacrificing herself to an attacking demon that, in turn, gave Leo supervision. The all-seeing eyes of the gods. Which gods? I don't know, they never really talk about it. He moves to Hell Salem's Lot, formerly New York City. It merged with the magical world that's known as the Alter World 3 years ago, and they like to mention that 3 years ago a lot. Humans and non-humans were like, hey, we should live in peace. That'd be pretty cool. And then they do it. So what's Leo up to now? Being broke and having to wash dishes in the back of a restaurant just to order a burger. Not looking great. So then a monkey steals his camera, and because it's one of his 2 possessions, he runs after it, and then blows the fuck up. So then a white-haired dude shows up and takes him back to his workplace, saying, hey, I found our new coworker, Johnny. Shane Sumeragi walks in and realizes that A, Leo looks like Johnny upside down, B, isn't actually Johnny, and C, Johnny's already dead. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of looking for him. Turns out this place is called Libra, a task force that makes sure the entirety of Hell Salem's Lot doesn't get obliterated every other damn week. Anyways, Zap, the white-haired guy from before, wants to throw Leo out, but Klaus, the boss of this place, stops him because Leo is able to see that the entire building just got cut open. That would only be possible if he had the all-seeing eyes of the gods. So Klaus sends Leo and Zap to go hunt down the 2 demons that are going to meet up and destroy the city. Demons tend to do that sort of thing, you know? They go for it, and eventually they make it to the diner Leo started the episode in. That gets blown up by the demons. So they realize that the monkey might have something to do with the demons, and the rational thing is probably to just kill the monkey. But Leo thinks killing is stupid, and so he doesn't, and just uses his eyes power to discover that the demon is actually a tiny flea on the monkey, and so Leo just yeets the flea and saves the day, which pisses off Fempt, the guy who orchestrated all of this, and he actually loses it. That guy's crazy. After that, Leo vows to clean the dishes he promised to, and Klaus tells his friend Steven about how Leo is going to be helpful as a member of Libra. With that, the first episode ends with a next episode preview by Fempt, who makes sure to insult all of the viewers. That's the first episode, and it should give you a decent idea for how this show generally works. There is an overarching plot, but this show is a primarily episodic fare, having one main focus each episode. This allows a lot of freedom for episodes to explore a variety of aspects when it comes to both the cast of characters as well as the setting. Speaking of which, I mean, Hell Salem's Lot is a fantastic main setting, and it gets so much attention given to it. It really begins to feel like a real place. Most episodes begin with sequences focused on the daily life of Leo. Sometimes Mans is delivering pizza to make some extra cash, and sometimes he's out here getting evicted because the entire apartment complex got cut open. You know, the usual. These scenes do a fantastic job of leading into the main conflict, but they also give insight as to what it's like to live in a town where humans and monstrous creatures live together. And it starts to make sense why the characters talk about Hell Salem's Lot being a rough place to live. Lots of fucked up shit happens within these city limits, and because of that, we have a main cast that's trying to keep that craziness under control. We do see Libra use blood battle styles to kick some ass and settle whatever calamity of the week they go through, but other times it's about keeping relationships between the humans and non-humans at bay. So, based on everything I just said, this show doesn't really seem to be up your alley. That's reasonable, but if you like good OSTs, dear fuck is this one of the greats. Lots of upbeat jazzy bops, some more chill beats to study or relax to, and generally a full lyrical track for each episode that fits the mood just right, or in some situations, just hits sufficiently different. Composer Taisei Iwasaki not only crafted an immaculate soundtrack, but also worked with a number of very talented vocalists to make some truly stellar pieces of music, and it all creates a wonderful album that has been part of my go-to playlist for quite some time now. Even if the show itself isn't your cup of tea, I still recommend giving the tunes a listen. The soundtracks for both seasons are on Spotify, so give it a try. If you're looking for specific recommendations to get started, I would say Catch Me If You Can, Dust, Snap Out, On My Own, and Sidewinder. And that's just season 1. The soundtrack for season 2 goes even harder, but we'll get there. On the topic of music, I've gotta bring up the opening and ending sequences. First up is Hello World by Bump of Chicken.
Bump of what?
And let's be honest, Bump of Chicken doesn't miss. And the sequence is pretty decent too. It starts with a shot of the sun rising in New York City that lingers for a bit longer than it should. That being said, I do like the way the opening uses photography, Leo's main hobby, to provide some shots of his daily life. And I also really like this circular shot that summarizes Leo's approach to combat with everyone else fighting all around him. There's also this really cool transition between Leo and his sister. I always like watching that one every episode. In summary, the song itself is fantastic, but the visuals pale in comparison to what comes after each episode. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is one of the finest ending sequences in all of anime. I alluded to it at the beginning, but it kind of took on a life of its own outside of the show, and you'll find a number of fantastic alternate versions inspired by a number of fandoms and created by super talented fan animators if you go up there to the YouTube search bar and type in Blockade Battlefront ED parody. I think it popped off because of how brilliant this sequence is, so let's just get right into what makes it so fucking incredible. I've been waiting for this. So to start, the brilliance of Unison Square Garden's Sugar Song to Bitter Step. It is a magical piece of composition and performance. It's energetic, it's fun, it captures that bittersweet and wondrous feeling of spending time with the best people you know and understanding that it's all gonna end eventually. And it starts off with this slapping guitar riff, and oh, I could talk about this guitar riff all damn day. And this song also does one of the best things an ending song can do. It interrupts the end of the episode. See, you don't get that opening riff if you just watch the sequence itself on a YouTube upload. It's only there in the closing moments of an episode, just to remind you that the episode's coming to an end in case you weren't paying attention, and that it's time for a banger and maybe a bit of a cliffhanger. It's perfection. It's just the cherry on top of the show's skillful use of music and its storytelling. After that, the credits begin, and we get a glorious 90 seconds, primarily consisting of the cast of characters dancing. I have a certain cardinal rule of judgment when it comes to anime openings or endings. It's simple. If you make the characters dance, then I will think it is good. And they made that the entire fucking ending, and I applaud them for it because it feels entirely in character for all of them. This crew would absolutely just spend a Friday night out dancing together on some stage somewhere, because despite the fact that they do have problems with each other from time to time and that they're co-workers, they're also all friends, and this ending portrays that well, also really well demonstrating what makes each of these characters unique. It's such a dense piece of animation with a lot of details, and I've watched this thing like 100 times, so I hope I noticed all of the things. So let's just go through a bunch of them. The way Chain deliberately steps on Zap's feet to mess with him is perfectly in line with their relationship, as is KK's obvious annoyance from the way she's being held by Steven. There's the way Zap kicks forward angrily and how Chain goes a little too far and Klaus has to step in and catch her. Brody and Hummer doing their synchronized fusion dance thing. Zed getting attacked by Zap when he's not paying attention, but still deflecting perfectly anyways. Drinking with the boys! Nika holding Chain by the arms. It's adorable. Klaus happily clapping in the background as everybody dances before he joins in himself. Then everyone spins around and Nika instead does a little flip on the floor, and it's adorable. There's this thing, which I can't really explain because spoilers! They just pack in such a huge amount of detail that builds on the characterization of everyone here, and it's just brilliant. They even break up the dance section with a flashback to Leo's sister losing her sight and how he just tragically looks onward, helpless to do anything. It really captures the bitter part of Bittersweet that this ending captures, and it's just important as the more exciting parts, like the white flower that gets smashed into blood. It's symbolism, I think. Also, for those of you who watch a different video of mine, well, that at the bottom there is it's a fucking stage. Come on, I have standards. Point is, so much love and care was put into every detail and every moment of it, and I just love it so much, you guys. I'm probably gonna watch it another 30 times after this. It's amazing. Anyways, where was I? This anime sure has some animation. Studio Bones was behind this project, and yeah, they know what they're doing. They capture not only the action scenes, but also the general atmosphere of the city and the movement of the characters wonderfully. And those latter two aspects do a great job of making everything feel so alive. I gotta commend Bones for that, and that's all I got. I'm not really a Sakuga animation kind of person. It looks great and has some excellently framed shots, but that's all I can really say. And as much as I love this show, it's not perfect. The episode pacing can be a bit odd at times, and in addition, some of the characters don't get as much screen time as they deserve, like Steven and Shane, but overall, it doesn't take away very much. This show is still a pleasure to watch from beginning to end. And I think that's all the main spoiler-free aspects I wanted to get to. If any or all of that sounded interesting to you, I highly recommend giving this show a couple of episodes to try and win you over. Though there is one warning I'll give. I'll get into this a little more during the spoiler segment, but there are 2 seasons of this show. This video focused exclusively on season 1, but if you do decide to watch Blockade Battlefront, I highly recommend watching both seasons back to back. All I can really say is that at the end of season 1, it might feel like the show was missing a little something, but I can pretty much guarantee that little something is in season 2. For now, that's all I'll say, but if you've seen this show before, stick around. It's time for the spoiler talk. Here, I'll give you 5 seconds for you to skip ahead. This guy's name is Dog Hummer. Dog Hummer, it's amazing. So, I just want to talk about the episode where Zed, Zap, and Leonardo go out for lunch. What, you thought I was gonna talk about the plot? Nah, bitch. They just keep going from restaurant to restaurant, and it's just painfully relatable to getting together with a group of friends and trying to decide where the fuck to eat, so you end up so hungry you hallucinate the god of chow. We've all been there. Plus, there's some great Zed and Zap banner, and the episode also gives us Steven doing some cool stuff with Klaus. Those two are great together. I also love that it ends with the start of the episode where they're all at the restaurant again, trying not to cry of starvation. There's also an entire episode without a major threat. It's pretty much just Leo becoming friends with a mushroom guy named Nej through the power of Johnny Rockets cheeseburgers. Paints a really interesting picture about how tense the relations between humans and non-humans often are in this world, and it gets really sad when they forget each other. Nej was just going on about how he won't forget. It's powerful, man. There's that episode where Klaus gets tricked into becoming an underground fighting ring champion and just destroys everyone because he's a beast at combat. And that's second only to his 99-hour chess game with a drug lord. Klaus is just on a different level in terms of strength and endurance, but he's also a wholesome guy who cares about the people in his life and wants the best for them. And I love both of those sides of his character. Speaking of which, it's amazing when Zap shows how much he cares about Leo. Their relationship is rocky, and obviously they don't get along most of the time, but they really care about each other, and it's best shown when Zap gets like 3 blood transfusions so we can use his blood technique long enough for Libra to find Leo. And also the time in episode 12 where he goes up on Zed for calling Leo just a normal kid. It is exquisite characterization. Sure, he's still a piece of shit, but he does have some admirable traits. He does not give up on his team. And while I'm talking about episode 12, fine, I'll get into actual plot spoilers. Briefly, I'm not super fond of Black and White getting a whole episode and a half of backstory, but it's built up well throughout the season and it ties in with everything, so I won't complain too much. And the part at the end where Black watches out over Leo as he breaks down and cries, and Black is just describing how great Leo is, just hits in a certain way that I can't fully describe. Especially since Klaus gives Leo a similar speech that Leo isn't just a normal guy, like Zap was saying earlier in the episode. He's a member of Libra. And beyond that, when you get down to it, Leo is a person doing his best to survive Hail Salem's lot and help people. And he's able to do those things not because of his eyes, but because he doesn't give up. Time and time again throughout the show, he thinks of himself as pathetic, but what he really has is an ability to not give up when things get difficult or scary. It's a level of resolve that I think we can all admire. And oh, you skipped ahead? Sorry, I was having a moment here with Oh, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Ooh, that is awkward.